Well, today's July 21st, Sunday, and I want to thank all you subs that wished me a happy birthday yesterday, and for the last couple of days, matter of fact, some of you have. And the fact that I did have a happy birthday, a wonderful birthday. My wife treated me great, but we try to teach other, treat each other as good as we can. But then on a special day, sometimes you get a little extra treatment or something to that nature. We still go about the normal day, and what a great meal! She cooked the steak perfect. Yep, I like mine medium rare, and it was perfect. And the only seasoning that I wanted on it was a little salt and pepper. And it was super tender. It's a filet mignon. The sweet potato is sweet. It was good. We haven't had sweet potatoes in a while. And when we went to the market earlier in the week, we happened to see they had some there, so we picked a couple up so we could have a great meal with them. So it's just something we enjoy. And of course, some of that cake that we bought that we got a special deal on, we had that too years ago. And somebody said that they would like to have, go out to a restaurant and stuff. And we used to do that too. And we haven't done it a lot in later years here. Some of it is, I guess we have enough money to do it once in a while. We planned for a retirement, and we didn't want to lose the style of living that we enjoyed while I was working. And for the most part, we haven't. But a lot of times when we went to a restaurant, we've been disappointed either in the service or the food. And we're not super picky or anything like that. We had one we used to go to all the time, had great seafood. And all of a sudden, my wife was served and we thought it was always fresh because their menu said fresh fish on there. The fish was froze. It wasn't cooked all the way through. It was literally froze in the middle. And my wife told him, says, "Hey, so this isn't cooked all the way through." They took it back and cooked it the rest of the way. So it didn't exactly taste great. And my wife didn't eat much of it. Matter of fact, she left most of it there. We never did go back to that restaurant. And that was one of our favorite. We just, it was just a bad meal. And we had another one here, an Italian restaurant we used to go to. And the meal was served cold, and we went there a couple of times after that, and still we had trouble. I'm not sure what was going on, why they got to our table and it was that way. We used to live in another town, a lot bigger town, and we went out on a regular basis, especially on weekends. And we love to do that. Now that we're older, we know what we want. We can eat a lot better at home than we can in a restaurant, and we always know that the quality we've got here is top notch. What we're looking for. We pick the food and cook it. I don't know how better to say. Once in a while, now we go to, let's say, McDonald's or Taco John's, or there's a couple of different fast food places around here that aren't really too bad. It's quick. We do it on the run, and it's still a treat, okay? And the food is halfway decent. Matter of fact, most times it's better than the sit-down restaurant. Unless you go to a 3 or 4 star restaurant, the food quality has dropped substantially. When we lived in Louisiana, the food was so good. You cannot fathom the food that we had down there. New Orleans has Oh, uh, you have to experience it. I can't describe it. And when we were in Texas, one of our favorite places was a place that had this big pit out in the middle, okay? And you cooked your own steak. It was all, you could get ribeyes or New York strip or T-bones, porterhouse. I had ribeyes most of the time, nice thick ones. And, my brother-in-law, same way. And there was a big dance floor. You could dance out there. And it was, I loved that place. I think they called it the Steak and Stomp. That was in Houston, Texas. We had another restaurant near our house up on the northwest side up there in Inwood West, but I'm trying to think if it was off from Bingo or if it was off from 149. But they had great food too. We'd go in there and it's been so long ago. Oh yeah, one of the places that had got second best in the world for barbecue was just off of 49 up there on the west side, northwest side. And they're good. Oh, yeah, that's good food. And we used to get, there was a roadside vendor that used to have boudin and shrimp, and I wish we'd have stayed in Texas or Louisiana, either one. A lot of my friends from down there, of course, I'm up there in age, but most of them are gone now. I've got kids down south, and grandkids and stuff, and we, up till we sold the motorhome, we could go visit them pretty easy. A little different now. We're a little more, not necessarily a prisoner, but it's pretty hard to travel somewhere 1,000 miles or something. My wife and I both are past the age of traveling long trips anymore. We're pretty much, we made a nest that we like here, and we're just going to stick it out. And our food is, we really like to eat, and we like quality food. The best quality is right here in our house, believe it or not. Like I say, my wife is an excellent cook, and we enjoy it. So that's kind of an explanation. All right, what I wanted to talk about today was one word. You know what it's like to be human? Dehumanize. You know that word? Well, let's talk about it a little bit. We'll give you some of the meaning, and I've got another computer sitting right here. It says, to deprive someone or something of human qualities, personality, or dignity, such as to subject someone such as a prisoner to inhuman, degrading conditions or treatment. You treat people with respect, you get respect back. Treat them like animals, you search them, you dehumanize them, you lock them up, you don't feed them, you will get that back someday. And that was a statement by Adelina Lifton. To address or portray someone in a way that obscures or demeans that person's humanity or individuality. Propaganda that dehumanizes a person. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about. And for good reason. And I'm not going to call anybody out on the specifics of somebody that would treat somebody like this. But we all know somebody, probably. I mean, we've run across people like this. But I grew up poor. Now, at the time, I didn't know I was poor. My dad told me all about it by the time I was in junior high, about how poor I was. Because he didn't want me bringing friends home anymore. He didn't want them to see our house. To me, the living conditions were okay. But let me give you an example. We had no running water. We had an outhouse out in the back. We got our water from a pump that we shared with 2 other homes. The 2 other homes were owned by my aunt. My uncle and my grandfather had hand dug this well and brick lined it. And it still is usable today. My stepmother lives in the house that I was raised in. My father has passed away, and my birth mother has passed away. My brother was born in that house, one of my brothers. My mother was born there. Her brother was born there, literally born there. I was born in a hospital. It was during World War II, 1944. For a couple of years, we lived in Florida while my dad was in the Navy. But we moved with family, okay? Now, being poor and living in that environment wasn't a big deal. We washed up, but we didn't have a shower to do it in. We didn't have a tub to soak in. Well, I take that back. We had a round metal tub, the same tub my mom washed the clothes in. My mother and my grandmother would wash clothes at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. They had a washboard stuck in the tub, and they would scrub the clothes. They'd get the clothes out, put them in another, like a bucket that had clear water in it, rinse them out, and they had to squeeze the water out by hand because they didn't have anything with a wringer to do it with. Now back then, we didn't have a refrigerator either. We had the real deal, the ice box that you put ice in on one side to keep the things in this stand-up box cool. Now, then there was an ice pick in there so that we could chip a little bit of ice off and throw it in a drink to have a nice cold drink like a lemonade or something like that. The lemonade was real lemons and water. You know, if we wanted a cold glass of water, we went out there and hit the pump a couple of times and stuck a glass under there and had it water. So essentially what I lived in was a shack. By today's standard, most places wouldn't allow it unless you lived out in the country someplace where no amenities are available. It's all right to live on the street though in a tent. Such is the world. Now, there's people out there that would demean you for that, dehumanize you. Say that word fast, dehumanize you. I'm not sure if I like that. Now, it upsets me a little bit for somebody to use that as an example of people that are rotten, that are no good. Because I was raised that way. I never thought about it that way. And nobody in my family thought about it that way. And I had lots of cousins and stuff that lived that way. And I mean, we hunted for a lot of our meat. We fished in the creek down there. We got together to have meals together. We went to church together. I thought we were all human. So when somebody gets on a soapbox and says, those people they're not human. They live in a shack. They crap in a bucket. When I was growing up, they called it a chamber bucket, chamber pot. And a little lid, a little porcelain thing. Well, it wasn't little. I mean, it was. I guess I never thought about it, you know, in that manner because, I mean, if you grow up that way, why would you even think something like that? Now I realize there's people that have never had to live with the bare necessities, and I kind of pity them a little bit. When you really start at the bottom financially, you're so thankful for everything you get. And you learn early on not to look at somebody else and despise them for what they have. Why would they despise you for what you don't have? Now, if you can explain that to me, I guess you might change my mind about how I feel about somebody that comes out now and says, they're not human. Look how they live. They live like pigs. Well, pigs, if given a chance, would be very clean. The reason they wallow is because they don't have sweat glands, and they get in the mud and wallow around, helps get rid of the bugs, and it also helps them cool off. But other than that, they try to keep clean. The only reason you see them in a smelly environment is because we fence them in and we don't allow them to run out there and crap in the woods. They're not going to do it in their own nest unless you make them. Okay. People are about the same way. So when you go out there and you describe them as inhuman because of they don't have the money for the things like that. How can you help somebody like that? Well, I know how I could if they were willing to accept it. Not everybody would accept help. And others would lay back on the couch and say, go to it. I wouldn't want that situation. I'm not going to do your job for you. But in the same token, I would just walk away from that person if I didn't like the way they were living. I mean, what else could I do? Now, if you treat people as if they're rotten, that happens. People end up acting the same way. Treat them like an animal. Eventually, they're going to react like an animal. To remove or reduce human involvement or interaction in something such as a process or place. So these people were somewhat contained by law. And they reacted insane, in kind. Did the same thing back. And that what we have then is people reacting back and forth to each action. For every action, there's a reaction. And you and I can stop the bounce if we want to. Or we can join one side or the other in carrying that stuff out. Myself, I prefer to either withdraw from it or at least say, you're both all wet. If you don't stop, somebody's going to get hurt, and that is a truism. But you can't treat people badly and expect them to treat you good. It's just not going to happen. And when I was young, there was never anybody that I know of that said, you're poor, I don't want to be around you. Didn't happen. The times were different, I guess. Maybe people had a conscience. It says here, people that treat other people inhuman, that they don't have the tendencies to feel for somebody. They don't have empathy. That's what it says right here. That's the meaning of treating people that way. And I find that to be true. I've seen people that love to call people out. Here on the internet, some of them are called trolls. When you call a troll out, oh, they get upset. They know what they are. They can't say anything positive, they just say things that are negative. If you do negative things towards a person, almost on a daily basis, you're trolling. You're using negativity to control another human. And it's not right under any circumstance. We have laws to protect both parties in a dispute. And that's what it is, a dispute at that time. I don't want to say too much more because you're going to accuse me of picking on somebody and being a big bully. But I just wanted to give you some words of wisdom about the meaning of different words and how they're used and who does it. Now, I wanted to do it in a manner where I don't have to call anybody out over it. Everyone out there knows somebody that would be like that. And when you call them out, it causes a big uproar, especially if it's somebody that has a lot of people that have fallen for this daily brainwashing system of taking inadequacies of another human and calling it out on a daily basis and saying how bad it is. Living in a shack and using a bucket or a chamber pot. Calling somebody out and trying to dehumanize them by doing that is wrong. I feel sorry for people that do that. And I really feel sorry for the people that's being done too. When you keep those practices up, you take people and you turn them into an animal. It says right here that that's what happens. I mean, you can look it up. And I invite you to. You're going to see a lot of characteristics of people you know in the meetings with somebody that dehumanizes others. I wouldn't want that on my conscience. I'd rather build somebody up. And I don't despise somebody that has less than me, and I don't know why somebody would despise me because I have less than them. I have enough. And that person that doesn't have what you have, maybe they have enough. And you come along and and you call them off for that, and you'd be absolutely upset, and you would probably accuse them of wanting what you have. Oh boy, you talk about the pot calling the kettle black. Ooh, with that, I'm just gonna let it go. Remember what I said now, please. You know, I didn't get upset that other people had more than I did. It didn't bother me in the least when I was growing up. And I don't remember anybody being upset with me because I didn't have what they had. Why do we use that as a point to attack each other now? Why would we do that? Please, give me your interpretation. Try to have a good day. We all have our flaws, and if we're called out for them on a regular basis, all you do is drive it home and you brainwash others into believing it. Not having something doesn't make you not human. It doesn't make you inhuman. The sooner you learn something like that, the better off you are. If you go to other countries in particular, I mean, you go south of us in Mexico. How many places do you think over there that don't have a house? Have you ever heard the saying, they don't have a bucket to piss in? Have you seen the tin shacks south of this country? I seen it in Oklahoma and Arkansas driving through there. At first I didn't think anybody's living in some of them towns, but then I realized there was somebody there. Now I didn't think less of them. I figured they just couldn't get away. There was some reason something was holding them back. But I never go back. I went back there and catcalled them, or I never wrote articles on them or anything like that. And it must take a sorry group of individuals to do that. Hope you're not one. Quite frankly, the people that are subbing on my channel that don't throw rocks at me and stuff, and they listen to some of the sayings I've got, some of them are my age and they say, hey, I know what you're talking about. A lot of them kind of wish for a world like I've described sometimes. And hopefully they don't treat people like I just described. Dehumanize. 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 It's hard to say that word. I guess it's because it's so distasteful. With that, You have a good weekend, and thank you so much for all the well wishers that wish me happy birthday. My goodness sake. I hope you all can have as good a day as I did yesterday. Thank you. Bye.